Hello out there. How's everyone doing today? This is Dr. Keith Henry with another quick wellness news nugget. If this is your first time listening to me, I take an article that has come out during the week or the day and give my commentary on it from the perspective of a natural practitioner. And today our article is from greenmedinfo.com and it's entitled Chamomile Proven to Fight Anxiety and Clinical Depression. Now, chamomile is a herb, if you don't know already. And this article is talking about the use of chamomile, scientific studies that have looked at the capacity of chamomile to help with anxiety and clinical depression. Now, the article starts off by pointing out that recent clinical and laboratory research has determined that chamomile is not only relaxing, but it can significantly decrease anxiety and even fight depression. And the article goes on to point out how the most recent study from the UK's University of Nottingham Medical School found that chamomile significantly relaxed blood vessels and smooth muscle fibers. This effect was indicated specifically with the application of three of chamomile's central constituents. They're called hydroxylates. The effect of chamomile to soothe and calm the system was also showed in a recent study from the UJ University Hospital in South Korea, the article says. And in this study, they took 56 patients who were undergoing coronary treatment and surgery, and they were given aromatherapy with a combination of lavender, chamomile, and neroli. A control group was given only nursing care. So you had these 56 patients undergoing coronary treatment and surgery, and they were given aromatherapy with the lavender, chamomile, and neroli, and a control group was only giving regular nursing care. The researchers in this study found that the aromatherapy group had significantly lower anxiety and improved sleep as compared to the control group. The article says further that the fact that chamomile is an anti-anxiety and anti-depression herb was cemented by a clinical study at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. This study was actually done in 2009, but its data and findings were reinvestigated and confirmed last year, which would have been 2018. So the original study was done in 2009, and they were able to establish that chamomile is actually an anti-anxiety, antidepressant herb, and it was proven in a clinical study at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. But then the study was the results of the study were reinvestigated and confirmed in 2018. The researchers enlisted in this particular study 19 people who had been diagnosed with anxiety with comorbid depression, along with 16 people who were diagnosed as having a history of anxiety and depression. These groups were studied along with a control group of 22 people who had no anxiety or depression either in the past or the present. The study was randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled, which is considered the gold standard of studies. The researchers gave the subjects either 220 milligrams of chamomile extract or a placebo study, both in capsules. The treatment period spanned about 8 weeks, and during the first week, the subjects were given one capsule a day, and for those receiving less benefit on their anxiety scores, this was increased to 2 capsules. The second week, three capsules. The third week, 4 the fourth week, and 5 for the remainder of the 8 weeks. And the primary means, and again, I don't have time to go into all the details of how they went out and broke the study down, but suffice it to say, the researchers found that 57% of the group using the chamomile extract had significantly reduced anxiety scores. And when they say significantly reduced, they mean greater than 50%. So this chamomile extract was able, in this particular study, to drop their anxiety by more than 50%. That's pretty significant. The article goes on to say further that 3 years later, the University of Pennsylvania researchers undertook another review of the data in this study to determine whether or not treatment with chamomile for the clinically anxious and clinically depressed could be considered clinically meaningful. This, of course, it says, enables medical peers to gauge whether or not chamomile could be used as a prescriptive treatment for diagnosed patients. After reviewing the study and research data in depth, the researchers concluded that the results were clinically meaningful, and they pointed out that, quote, the research team observed a significantly greater reduction over time in total HAM-D scores for chamomile versus placebo in all participants. And remember, this course, the way they went through this was done and measured in about an 8-week period, which is actually pretty significant. A low time for those in the for the treatment of herbs. So it's significantly lower than what you would normally treat with herbs. So that's actually better, because normally when you're treating something with herbs, or you're trying to take herbs to help the body get to a certain particular point in healing, it typically takes longer because they're working on a cellular level, and they're healing instead of just covering symptoms. And so for such a short period, 8 weeks, it was pretty significant benefits for such a short time. And yet the study says that even after that 8 week, the benefits continue to improve without any side effects. And finally, the end of the article says the study not only confirms chamomile's usefulness for anxiety and depression, but that its effects can increase over a longer duration. And he says traditional herbalists would typically recommend the use of anti-anxiety herbs such as chamomile, lavender, St. John's wort, and others over a period of 3 months to a year in order for them to reach their full effectiveness. After that, they are often recommended to be continued at least periodically or as needed. And so it goes on to point out how this is true. Most herbalists will recommend herbs when it comes to clinical depression and anxiety. They will recommend herbs which have been used historically, such as chamomile, lavender, St. John's wort, and there's some other ones. I would also recommend, if you're dealing with anxiety, etc., that you watch your diet, because remember, you have what we call a second brain in your gut. And basically it's another brain, and what you put in your gut can affect your brain up top, and it can cause serious problems. Also, remember your stress levels, especially if you're drinking things like caffeine, coffee, or eating anything with caffeine or coffee, it can deplete your adrenals and the B complex vitamins, your B vitamins, and that could also contribute to having problems dealing with anxiety. So there are a lot of things that go into it, but there are a lot of people who also suffer from anxiety and depression. So there are a lot of times you will have issues with adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, etc. Again, thank you for listening. You've been listening again to the Quick Wellness News Nugget. And if you want to read this entire article, you can do so at greenmedinfo.com. It's entitled Chamomile Proven to Fight Anxiety and Clinical Depression. This is Dr. Keith. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.